Karen Bonifilio, Outer Realms, Inner Journeys. We have a real treat for you today. I know I say it every time, but we do. We have John Bazley on the channel. John, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, I am so excited to have you on the show. I seriously am. He's going to bring a flavor to this that you have not heard or seen before on this channel. So let me tell you a little about John. He's a psychic medium concentrating in psychic detection. He is a Bronx, New York native who currently resides in upstate New York in the city of Poughkeepsie. He's been in the healthcare field for over 30 years, presently employed as an IT consult specializing in radiology systems. Boy, that's a lot to say. He's worked with international mediums and psychic detectives, Tony Stockwell and Scott Russell Hill, on such famous cases as the Beaumont children. I think I heard of that.
Yeah, it's famous.
Yeah, you might have to tell about that.
Yep.
Kevin Hicks and Reese Collins. In addition to working with law enforcement agencies and detectives, he's played a large part of either having a case reopened or providing avenues of inquiry, which led to solving the crime. I'm going to read a little more, but maybe you should be doing a YouTube channel and telling about all this.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Maybe someday.
I mean, people are interested. He considers, get this, forensic astrology. I have no idea what that is. To be not just another tool in a psychic's arsenal, which can shed light on the dark areas of a crime scene, but is fundamentally part of validating what comes through a psychic sense during an investigation. He states it's an honor and a privilege to be the voice who have fallen due to extreme circumstances and come to the aid of their loved ones and law enforcement. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. Well, John, I'm just going to ask you to tell a little bit about yourself and then we'll just start having a conversation.
Well, as you said, I'm a city boy. So I was there until about 9 years old, moved up to the suburbs with my parents in Westchester County. Grew up there and then slowly started making my way upstate, Peekskill, Poughkeepsie, and so on. And that was mainly due to my work as an X-ray tech.
Mm-hmm.
I've been an X-ray tech since 1995, and that led me to the work in IT. I started doing
Oh,
systems in the hospital. They were in the department, and usually one tech was kind of assigned to doing those things, but then they slowly moved them into the IT departments. And one gentleman gave me the chance, offered me a job, and I took it. And I was working for Health Quest, which is now Nuvance here in upstate New York. Then went to Caremount Medical, which is now Optum. And then I finally went to Stanford Hospital, where I'm presently employed now with that same gentleman. He gave me a call and said, "Come on back," and
oh,
I'm with him again and a couple of other people, and we're having a great time.
that's wonderful. But tell us about your psychic abilities and where that led you and the forensics and all that. Um,
Sure.
what drew you? Well, first of all, how did you discover your abilities?
Well, strange thing, it was in. I I always knew that there was something. First of all, I was afraid of the dark until an abnormal age. We're
Oh,
talking, my late teens, early 20s, and I said, this is not right. Other people don't go through this, and
mhm.
but I did meet a medium one day, and he said the same thing, and I said, "Why is that?" And he goes, "Well, you were sensing spirit. You knew you weren't alone in the room, so there were other spirits there." And I said, "Oh, that's interesting."
Interesting.
I found that out later, of course, but I saw 1111 all the time on clocks and so on, magazines, television, and that's of course, the universal awakening sign. Didn't know it back then when I was growing up. There was no internet. There was nothing to tell you those things. And
Hmm.
but in 2006, I was in my apartment. Um, I woke up early one morning, like around 3 o'clock in the morning, and there was my long dead grandmother standing at the end of the bed. And I'm looking at her as I'm looking at you right now.
Uh-huh.
And she said, "Hi, dear." And I said, "Hi, Gam." I used to call her Gam. And she said, "I want to let you know that I'm with your grandfather and that I'm all right." And I'm almost in stunned silence at this point. But I said, "Okay." And she said, "Oh, well, all right now. I'm going to go now." And I,
That's pretty quick.
yeah, I said, "Okay." And then I felt like I woke up again. And I said, "Oh, wow, cool dream. I got to see my grandmother again." Gave my
Mhm.
mother a call and long pause. And she said, "John, today is the anniversary of your grandmother's death."
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that was significant in that I never recorded that date in my head. It was
Mhm.
her death was kind of shocking to me. I thought she was going to be around a lot longer, but that was interesting. And I said, okay, coincidence. Didn't know that that wasn't
Mm.
coincidence, right? So uh, a little bit later on, I was watching a show called Medium with Patricia Arquette, and it was based off the
Oh,
life.
yeah.
Right? Yeah, a lot of
Mhm,
people know this show,
mhm.
based off the life of a well-known medium, Alison Dubois.
Yep.
And so I looked her up, and she said she found out she was a psychic medium because she had the same event happen in her bedroom one night, but with her grandfather, with almost the same exact conversation, word for word. And I said, well, if she found out that she's a psychic medium that way, am I a psychic medium?
Mhm.
Started looking up things on the internet, and that led me to books, and then that led me to more books, and the books just started coming. I could barely finish them, and I read about 60 books that year. And
Oh my gosh.
everybody was saying, including James Van Prague in his books, that you should get into a psychic development circle. So
Mhm.
I said, yeah, good luck finding one up here in upstate New York. But lo and behold, I found a gentleman, Adam Bernstein, well-known medium, and across the river, the Hudson River, in Kingston, New York, and he had a psychic development circle 2 days a week, plus a psychic support meeting as well. And so I took all three every week, and another woman, Shannon, at this cafe, she also had a psychic development circle. So about 3 times a week, taking
Nice.
things. Yeah, so it was kind of, hardcore, a lot of energy and so on. But I did that for a year, and at the same time, I was taking a intuition awakening course by a woman called Anna Sace out of
My
New Zealand.
goodness.
Yeah,
You were immersed.
I was hitting it hard, and
Yeah, you're all in.
yeah. And then one day, I was looking on Amazon. I just put in the word psychic, and uh, a picture of Tony Stockwell with a show called The Psychic Detective came up, and I was like, "Ooh, that looks pretty good." So every episode, and I said, "This is what I want to do." Here's a man that does a proper investigation. He goes to the family, he hears the story, he does his psychic work, but he also does his armchair investigation, right? And then he puts the whole thing together and presents it to the family of what could have possibly have happened to their loved one. So I looked him up, and he was upstate here at the Omega Institute in
Wow.
Frankfort, New York. Yeah,
I mean,
and
everything fell into place.
everything just falls into place. And isn't that like the universe to do that? Uh,
That means you're on your journey, your right path.
that's right. Yeah, your soul journey, right? In a way.
Mhm.
And so he had uh, a trance mediumship week-long course, plus on the weekend he had a psychic detection course. So I took that, and it just took off from there. I just fell in love with it. He had a 1-year mentorship. I took that, and the best thing that came out of it was he asked me to work on a case, Reese Collins, which you
Oh,
mentioned. And here's where something came full circle. One day I'm watching him do it, working on this case,
Mm-hmm.
Reese Collins, and the next minute I'm working on the same case. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
So how did that all play out? You were both working on it at the same time?
No, he during the mentorship, he asked me to myself and several others to work on the Kevin Hicks case, which
Oh, I see.
and then I presented that work to him, and he said, "John, I want you to take a look at the Reese Collins case. I think there's a connection to the Kevin Hicks case." And I said, "Okay." And
Oh,
so I started working on it, and we're still working on it. Making little headways here and there, but
not solved yet then.
not solved yet. No, unfortunately.
Well, everything has their own timing too.
That's right.
Um, how long ago did that start happening?
That was in between. That started happening with the Omega workshops in 2018, and then
Okay.
the mentorship happened. As the pandemic was coming in and so on. So we were doing it online. Uh,
Zoom or something, yeah.
Yeah, but that's around the time toward the end of that mentorship, I discovered forensic astrology as well, and I included that into the presentation, and he was blown away. He had never heard of it before. But
I
at
know
one,
I know how he feels.
yeah, good. But at one of his workshops, he had me do a presentation on it, so it worked out wonderfully.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
That's really seriously cool. Everything fell in place. I mean, and you were with some heavy hitters too,
yeah, yeah.
people that had credence. I want to back up and ask about your grandma real quick.
Yes.
When you saw her, did she look um, translucent? Did she look like, in full form, just like a person? Or how did she appear to you?
Full form, and the way she presented herself was she was wearing a pink nightgown, and toward the end of her life, that's all she wore was pink nightgowns, and I
Hmm.
would buy them for her birthday and Christmas as some of her gifts, and so I think she felt that that would be the most comfortable for me to
Right.
be.
Hmm.
Yeah, but like you said, full form, just like I'm looking at you, solid.
And so you had just awakened, and so you're not shocked to see your grandma there. But
Well,
you thought you were dreaming, maybe. Yeah.
yeah, no, I thought it was a dream, but I come to know it now as a dream visitation, and we know that dream visitations are more real than a dream. They can be easily recalled, and you remember all the details as if it happened just a
Oh.
year ago.
Hmm. Ah, that's really cool. I
Yeah,
mean, wow.
yeah.
Okay. Well, can you kind of explain, because this is a new concept, what psychic detention is, well, I'm not going to say it. Kind of explain it exactly.
Well, we psychic detection. You're using almost all the disciplines in the psychic realm. So remote viewing, dowsing, all the clairs, mediumship, and we call that our toolbox. And it depends, of course, case to case, what you use. Sometimes I'm doing a little bit of remote viewing to see an area or the scene of the crime, where it took place, and so on. Sometimes I'm using the dowsing rods for information, maybe. With the clairs, again,
The,
that's on a case by case basis.
right.
Sometimes the soul comes in, and with clairsentience, it lets me feel
Hmm.
what they were feeling when it was going on, or I could feel
Oh.
a hit to the head, or so on, or I could feel a depression that was going on that maybe led to a suicide or something of that nature.
John, was that hard to experience?
Let me, um, some of them are tough. The toughest one I ever experienced was probably the Beaumont children, which was mentioned. Um, that was a famous case out of the 1960s where three children had disappeared in Adelaide, Australia. And Tony took us through a meditation, and this was on site at Omega. And it was almost as I was looking through the youngest child's eyes, and I was
Oh,
holding the hand of the perpetrator, and I could see the hand. I couldn't. I wasn't at the point yet in my training where I could look up and see, describe the person, their face, and so on. But it was the feeling of holding their hand and having a trust in that person, thinking that they were okay, and they weren't. They were the assailant. They were the abductor. So unfortunately, uh,
I'm going to have to look up that case. I don't recall it.
well, it was a long time ago, but it's fresh in Tony's mind, and especially Scott Russell Hill. He was a famous detective. He's been on several television shows, and but he was friends with the Beaumont children when he was a child, and
Oh,
his dad was one of the last people to see them in Adelaide.
that
So,
that hurts.
yeah, that hurts. That's
That
tough. Who
hurts
wants to see it
when you
uh,
know
as
someone.
well?
And have they caught the person that committed that?
Not yet, but it's still fresh in the Australians' minds.
Oh, I
Unfortunately,
bet.
and they've done some recent digging on some properties there, but nothing yet, unfortunately.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
That's too bad. Remote viewings. Do you go into a trance-like state to do remote viewings?
I don't go into a trance. I really haven't talked to any remote viewers about that, whether they go into a trance or not. But for me, it's more like a meditation. I close my eyes, and sometimes I cover my eyes with my hands just to
Uh-huh.
make everything dark and blacked out. But then I see images, they start to appear, and I will either draw them out, so that's spirit art, another discipline that we use, or I'll describe it and do it that way. I've described the trees and skylines or buildings and so on, points of interest, landmarks,
Hmm.
and it's people think that that might be easy, but it's not. When you give this information to law enforcement, you can't just say, "Oh, I saw a path in the woods." Does the path meander? Does it go downhill? Does it go uphill? Is it made of dirt? Is it rocky? Is it leaf colored? Or what types of trees are there? Is it on a hillside? You have to really give intricate detail and almost bring those people into that area and almost have them recognize it.
And that's fully supported by law enforcement. They um, give you credence.
It depends. There's a few of them that are open-minded enough to take that information and go with it. It all depends. Some won't. Some will take the report and then you never hear back from them. Some will take a tip from anywhere um, just to lead them through. I
Yeah.
had I had a detective that asked another remote viewer. That's all she did was remote viewing. Asked me to help out in a case with the forensic astrology, and this detective asked, "Can you give me the perpetrator? Can you describe them?" So on an event chart, which looks a lot like a birth chart, I think
Hmm.
all of us have seen what a birth chart looks like. There's houses on there, and we're picking out um, the the house of the perpetrator. What we
Oh,
call
really?
Yes, well, what we call the open enemy, and the sign that's on there will give you a description of the person. So let's say it's Scorpio. Let's use Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio, so I could say that. Uh, and they usually have intense eyes, uh, angular features, kind of a narrowish face, lean but muscular, and so on. Dark hair,
Hmm.
eyes, and but it's a paragraph long of what this description is. So I gave that, but also this remote viewer said, I saw a red truck. And, let me tell you something. There's a few things that I sometimes I hear from other psychics, like, oh, I see a red truck. I take that with a grain of salt, or the remains are by a body of water. Well, when you think
Hmm.
about it, everything is almost near a body of water, nearly everything.
Yes. Hmm.
There's things like that. Uh, but I said, okay, a red truck, but I saw it in the chart. I saw
Oh,
Mars. Mars can be metal, can describe metal. It could also describe the color red, and it was conjunct or right next to Jupiter. And Jupiter is large, it's expansive, so
yep.
a big vehicle. So a red truck. And I said, okay, well, I see it in the chart, and she's saying it, so I'm validating her information, and that's one of the things that forensic astrology is good for. But also, I saw that uh, I saw he was a male, but this gentleman was in the neighborhood. Um, he was in the public eye, military,
Mm.
and local government. So I put
Ooh.
all those things together, and I had given it to this detective, and he came back and he goes, "Okay, you just described my number one suspect."
Oh, really?
Oh, how so? And he says, he's a firefighter. Well, there you go. Big red truck. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
It's not his personal vehicle. It's his occupational vehicle.
Oh my gosh.
Now,
Yes.
if you listen to the other things, um, local government, right? Military. You think about the uniforms they wear during parades.
Right. Hmm.
In the neighborhood, in the public eye. So, of course, that all lines up. So at that point, he's on full 100% with us. And he said, whatever you guys say, wherever you tell me to go, I'm with you.
Cool.
So sometimes it depends on the information too, what you're getting. I've had two detectives where I was describing things, and at one point, they both looked at each other. Then they looked back. They didn't say anything, but that look told me everything.
Hmm. Yeah. That you were spot on.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you were spot on, and they were recognizing that.
right.
Well,
So,
that's good. That's good.
and that validates the what we call the event chart. And so, if that information is correct, well, some of the other information
It's
might be correct as
probably
well.
correct.
Turn that over. He can run with it. And you know, I like to say that I don't solve the cases. We're signposts. We point the way to certain things. We highlight certain areas and so on. And they're the ones that solve the case.
Yes.
You know.
Hmm. Well, that governments and our government, and for years they've been using remote viewing and psychic mediums and such
Absolutely.
too. So why not let it filter down,
Sure.
yeah, into the local governments? We
I
had a
would.
lady here back, it was probably in the 80s because I took classes from her, and she worked with the police department to try to find missing people or, those kinds of things. And so she had good luck with everything that she did. But you got a huge team out there working on things, which is really nice.
Yeah, there's about 6 or 8 of us that get together once a week, and we'll bring a case in. And it's funny. Almost all mediums, no matter how they work, if it's platform mediumship or they just give psychic readings or so on, they always come across a case. Someone will say, "Hey, I have this unsolved, murder or something that happened in my family, and I want to know what happened." And they'll reach out to them and they say, "Well, you know what, this I don't do this. It's not my thing. So they'll reach out to people like me or some other people in the group, and we investigate the case, and then we give the information back to them, and they give it to the family, or sometimes the family just reaches out to us directly.
Does that family have to be in your immediate area?
No, I've worked on cases all over the world, the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Japan. This week alone, I've gotten one from Colombia and another one from South Africa. So, no, they can be anywhere. And all over the United States, almost every state I've done a case in.
Could it be from Portland, Oregon?
Of course you can. Yeah, if you have a case, please send our way. We'd be happy to
Oh,
help.
I am going to. And like I would say 98% of the people know who did it,
Mm.
but law enforcement just hasn't, I don't know, gotten enough evidence. So yes, I'm going to send you one because it's ah shocking.
Well,
Yeah.
sometimes the police they don't have the evidence, but like I said, we can tell them where to look and maybe what to look for. For instance, I did a case where a medium had contacted me. It was out of Texas, and a woman was thought to have committed suicide. It was in a car, shot herself, but then they said she also cut herself or stabbed herself, and as a psychic, it seemed off. I could see by your face that you said, nah, that seems
Yeah, it doesn't seem, yeah.
odd.
Mhm.
So I looked at it just with forensic astrology, but I'm still using my psychic senses. You psychometrize the chart, you feel into it. And I saw not only her home, but a public house, and I couldn't quite describe it. I said, "There's something about this public house, this public building," and the medium said, "Well, there was an apartment that she used to go to," and I'm like, "That's it. That,
Oh,
that's the place." I said, "Go to that place, and you'll find out." And now purely psychic, I said, "Can you check the angles of the stab wounds? There's something about the angles," and I couldn't tell him what. But the mother
mhm.
she went to the building and she left leaflets all over and saying, please contact me at this email or call me. And a mysterious email made its way to her with no information, except it had a Ring doorbell video on it.
Oh
There's,
my goodness.
there's nothing on the video.
Nothing
Uh,
on the video?
but the audio said everything. You heard bang, bang. Oh my God, I've been shot. I've been shot in the head. Help me. So on, like that. And the mother took that audio, gave it to the police, and the captain of the police department said, oh, now I've got to reopen the case.
Yeah, it wasn't a suicide.
It wasn't suicide. Now, the medical examiner also said it was a suicide. And, it kind of flows down like that from the police sometimes.
Mhm.
The mother calls up the medical examiner and says, "Okay, I've been working with these psychics, and they said, please check the stab wounds and the angles of them." The medical examiner didn't even say a word, just hung up on her, and sad, but
Rude,
yeah,
rude.
rude. But called back an hour later and said, "I've re-examined the body. I've checked the stab wounds. These could not be self-inflicted. I have to change the determination of the case
Good.
from a suicide to a homicide." And we know that that's very difficult for a medical examiner to do. But, to their credit, they did the right thing. But now the case is open, and my job is done at that point. Now it's up to law enforcement
The
to.
detective work to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But that's so cool
yeah.
because that woman, she will find gosh, oh, well, her family will find closure hopefully sometime about that.
You know,
Oh my
um,
gosh.
I myself, I don't believe in closure because I think people still deal with it. They still grieve from
Oh
it.
yeah. Yeah. But
But I do think that they find or get a sense of solace from it. They know what happened to their loved one. Yes, they're still grieving, but
Mhm.
I think it relieves them of going over and over in their head what happened to them, what happened, why did this happen, who did this, and so on.
Oh, I have two cases for you.
Ah, okay, good.
Oh gosh. Well, I'll just send you one for now.
Okay.
Wow. Um, sorry, I got wrapped up in death for a minute.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Um, John, tell us about the dowsing, how that's used.
So, funny you should ask.
I
I
mean, I
have
know what dowsing is, but I don't think in your capacity, I know. Oh, there's your rod right there.
dowsing rods. Yeah.
I
And
have.
very simply, you just hold two L rods, is what we call them, and they move. Not in concert, in different ways, and you ask questions. You form a connection with them, and every day that you use them, at the beginning you'll say, show me the sign for yes. Sometimes they cross over like this, and that'll be your sign for yes. Sometimes it's different, and then you say thank you. Show me the sign for no, and then sometimes they might drift to one side or to the other side. Say thank you, and then say, is this a good day to douse? And if they say yes,
Oh,
great. But if they say no, you respect it and you put them to the side.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, you have to do that every day because every day it might be different and it might not be a good day to douse. You never really find out why, but there is a reason. And the reason they do work, some people say it's the psychic senses, and there's some I think it's idiosyncratic movement, the movement like mini movements of your hands that move the rods. Don't know. Some say it's um, your mind is connected to your subconscious mind, which is connected to the universal mind, which knows everything,
Hmm.
and time and space doesn't matter. I've dowsed, you know, for things across the country and another country. I've done dowsing for water and so on like that. That's how I trained. I trained
Oh,
on
for water.
farms and looking for water and looking for
Hmm.
wells and just known things. Even my own father said, "Gee," he goes, "I wish I knew where the property marker was at this place." And I was like, "Hey, I got my dowsing rods." And he's like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me." And I said, I said, "No, wait, hold on," And I took the dowsing rods out and I'm doing the thing, and they led me to this one place. They crossed over, and I'm like, "Right here." And he used the heel of his boot, and he moved some dirt away, and there was the property marker. And he's like, John, that's pretty spooky.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, that's what he always said. That's pretty spooky.
Spooky. Spirits helping out. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you have to have two? I have one. I don't know what happened to the
No,
other
I've used just one, so I'm using one hand with a pointer, or a pencil, and I'm on a map, and
one.
I'm
Oh.
having the dowsing rod lead me, and I'll sometimes set up the map with a grid, and I go box by box. And once a box hits, and I get that yes on there,
Hmm.
then I'll take that box and I'll make smaller boxes and
Oh,
do each one of those. And I'll keep working smaller and smaller, and then I might enlarge the map and then go on from
in
there.
there.
On, yeah, uh, that's when I'm looking for a body or something like that.
Well, I know you got a real time, full time job,
Hmm.
and but your passion sounds like it's with this
Hmm.
type of work.
True. Yeah, it is my passion. I love doing it, but I do it on nights and weekends, and we get together on Wednesdays during the day. So during my lunchtime, that's what I'm doing.
Do you? And do you also do psychic readings for people or?
I don't advertise that. I don't say, hey, come in, do a psychic reading, or I've been asked to do it, but
Mhm.
no, I don't. But I was in a Barnes and Noble one time, and it just worked out that way. I don't, bum rush the person, but there was a person there that just had this wonderful healing energy, and I thought that they should know, what their superpower was. And I talked to them in the vestibule. I introduced myself, told them what I did, and I asked them a series of questions, and I would say true or untrue. They were more like statements, and they were like, "Oh, that's so true, that's so true." But they walked away, saying, "Wow, I have this energy. I can heal people. I could do this." And I gave them some idea of when it starts working, and it was funny. I watched them walk away, and they had a different walk. They had more of a bounce to it.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah, so
Yeah.
so that's one, and
Mhm.
at this latest job, I was at orientation. I'll probably get in trouble for this, but that room was wonderful. The lighting in it was just different, and I could see auras of people everywhere. Normally, that's not true. And not only could I see one aura, but I could see more than one. And I was giving readings. I gave readings to people on the spot. I say, "Oh, you're intuitive, aren't you?" And they would say, "Oh, yes, I am." And I said, "Well, here's the color aura I see. Here's what it means," and give
Mhm.
them a quick psychic reading. And then one person was actually giving many psychic readings while they were talking, and the way that they were moving their hands was like a medium, and the way that they were moving around the room. And I was like, you're a closet medium. You could do this. You gave 3 mini psychic reads on people. You were pulling the information out of them. You were getting it, and I had
Mhm.
no idea. So I said, if you want to, you can explore it. You don't have to, but just letting you know. And it was all very well received.
Oh, yes,
You know,
I definitely could see that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't doing mediumship and saying, hey, got your grandmother. She loves you dearly. She's smoking cigarettes with your grandfather in heaven. I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that to people. That's a little bit much to it.
Yeah.
It's better to ask permission and do something like that.
If somebody came up and told me and said, "Hey, the colors of your aura today," or something, I would be well received to having that,
Yeah,
you know. And I think you get led to those types of people,
I
that
think
are open like that too, and that need a message.
true.
They need to hear from that.
They do.
So how do you deal with skeptics?
You know, I think that people should be skeptical because there's a lot of charlatans out there. You have
Mm,
people saying, "Hey, you have this negative entity around you, and I can, cast a spell and remove it, and you'll light this candle for the
yep,
next week, and so on." The
yep,
candle's $3 and the spell is $400, and we'll
yeah,
call it a day. And
mhm,
really, they've got nothing going on.
yeah,
They've got
run away.
yeah,
Yeah,
um, but no, I like skeptics, and it's okay to be like that. You just don't know, and you educate the person. You tell them, hey, do you know how an airplane works? Scientists don't know. Yeah, it's the air flowing over the wing of an airplane. It's moving faster over the top, and it's moving slower on the bottom, so that creates a suction and lifts the plane. But they don't know how that suction is made. Scientists still don't know to that day. And when you tell them things like that, it kind of
mhm,
opens up their mind a little. They don't know
mhm.
how microwaves work. They don't know how their own cell phone works. I say, tell me, how's your cell phone work? Oh, well, I make a call, it goes to the cell tower. I'm like, no. How does the cell phone work? I don't know. But you put your
Doesn't
faith.
it go to a satellite?
Yeah, they can go to a satellite, but they they don't know how the cell phone works internally, but they put their trust in it. Same thing as a plane. Millions of people get on planes. They don't know how it works, but it gets them from here to there.
Mhm,
Just something about the psychics over time, due to religion and so on like that, or just people being
oof,
scared or so on, or just not believing. They're more logical minded. Academia is a big one. That 1% of people that they just won't go for it. But it's
mhm.
okay. That's all right.
Well, you're never gonna be everybody's cup of tea either,
That's
so that's okay.
and you know what? I don't care if they believe. I don't care. I know it works. I believe.
Hmm.
And you know what? I'm helping to solve cases, and that's all that matters to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, John, we're getting short on time.
Okay.
Um, is there anything else that you'd like to mention about your work?
Well, I am available if anybody wants to contact me. I do have a
Oh,
website, the Perceptive Investigator.
there it goes. It's on the
Oh yeah.
consent.
Okay. Perfect. And people can contact me there on email. They've done it. My latest case, out of South Africa. That's what happened. Um, and just know that as far as mediums go or forensic astrologers go, I think people should look into the psychic detection, and
Hmm.
you always come across a case, and if you have a little bit of knowledge, that's great. If not, pass it along onto us. We'd always be happy to help. And if you are doing it, just keep at it. Forensic astrology, keep doing charts, lots and lots of charts. You get better and you get used to it. And the more you see, the more you pick up, the more you learn, and so on.
Well, this is the first time it's ever been on my radar.
Mm.
So I'm glad you're bringing this out.
Sure.
And I know a lot. I know people that have lost children, and
Hmm.
you know, yeah, I hope it reaches out to a lot of people. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Thank you for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. When you sent me your bio, I thought, I don't even know what this is. So I did a little research. I didn't appear too
Oh,
stupid, but yeah, I find it fascinating.
oh,
I
it
find
is.
it really fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fascinating discipline. Like I said, 7 years ago, I didn't know what it was, but I looked into it, and here I am doing it. So,
And you immersed yourself in it. Kudos to you.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
you
for
really
that.
did.
Yeah,
Okay, John, we're going to have to say goodbye, but you hang out for a couple minutes so we can chit chat, okay?
absolutely.
And I thank you so much for coming onto the channel. You are a pure joy.
You're very welcome, and thank you.
Thanks, John. Okay. I got to get rid of this sign.